Now, going over to the cultural part of the podcast, you have Laura Loomer retweeting for Donald Trump, saying that he wants to prosecute Google, saying it only shows bad stories about him and positive things about Kamala Harris. Now, this comes with thanks to the good old X Twitter, which Laura Loomer is reposting for Donald, who, again, Trump usually has most of the exclusivity posting directly to Truth Social. Then he has all of his followers, they'd be able to repost on the X Twitter. Now, Trump says, quote, "It has been determined that Google has illegally used a system of only revealing and displaying bad stories about Donald J. Trump, some made up for this purpose, while at the same time only revealing good stories about Comrade Kamala Harris. This is an illegal activity, and hopefully the Justice Department will criminally prosecute them for this blatant interference in elections. If not, it is subject to the laws of our country. I'll request that their prosecution at the maximum levels when I win the election and become president of the United States." Unquote. Now, Laura Loomer responded saying, quote, "President Trump says he will request the prosecution of Google at, quote, the maximum levels when he wins the election and becomes president of the United States." And it didn't go as quite as far as I thought. It got 106,000 views and 8.9 thousand likes. Now, the odds of him actually winning against Google when they have they have pretty much unlimited money and resource allocation. And again, he's going to have to prove, I'm not sure how much of a burden it would be to actually prove that. I mean, I just Googled really quick, and I just Googled Donald Trump. I mean, one of the first ones is a CNN article, which, I mean, of all the people to be biased, CNN is certainly no fans of Trump. This doesn't seem too defamatory. The first article when I search news is Trump standing next to Zelensky promises a good deal for both sides of the Ukraine-Russia war, which that seems pretty neutral to me. It's not criticizing him or really praising him. You also have Political. It says massive civil fraud against Trump gets frosty, so that's a little bit negative. USA Today says, will your vote count? Trump stamps in Michigan while turnout voting machine looks for votes. Opinion piece from New York Times says Donald Trump is dangerous. CNBC says, Trump calls for prosecution. Let's see. AP News says Iranian operatives charged in the U.S. With hacking Donald Trump's presidential election. The New Republic says Donald Trump still wants to dismantle a critical hurricane agency. That's some negative. NBC News says for young men who grew up in the Trump era, the 2024 election is about one big thing. And again, this is just one Google search. And maybe they changed the algorithm by the time he posted this, but it's not all negative. Now, if Trump wanted to actually I think if Trump actually wanted to go after them legally in terms of, having political bias and interfering in the election, I think the YouTube, that is where you see a lot of censorship. That is where I think you better quantify the data and show that they, do shadow bans. I mean, I can't help but wonder, of the very few of the videos that get deleted on my channel, the ones that I critique Kamala, those get deleted. The ones where I critique Trump, those always stay up. And I try to, look at both sides, be as objective. Granted, I'm human, I have my bias and my preferences. But, yeah, I don't know how he's going to really win that lawsuit. When, again, there are some good articles talking about Trump. Now, again, if he goes after the videos, goes after the YouTube, the shadow bans, and the push that, because, again, legally, YouTube isn't supposed to do any of that. They're considered a publisher, not an editor. When you're an editor, you're deciding what gets seen, what doesn't. There's a whole different legal status. I mean, people have been talking about Section 230 for like years because it is a big deal. I mean, by that alone, I think there's a ground to stand on when it comes to the lawsuit with Google. Granted, I mean, you're gonna need a lot of lawyers to actually get that case off the ground. But in terms of this, I'm pretty skeptical to see. And it's not that I just don't see how it would actually, I don't know how it would actually play out. Now, I mean, there have been instances where Kamala was buying ads on Google. They're basically rewriting the headlines to make her look good. Now, that was happening a couple months ago. And then when Google was asked, they said, "Oh yeah, it was just a little error. We're sorry about that." An error that always worked out in her favor. Fascinating how that usually works out. But yeah, when it comes to only showing Trump in bad light, I mean, I'm more critical of that component of the argument he's making. Now, one of the top responses coming from this is AKA saying, quote, "Let him go," or "Let's go, throw them in prison," getting 62 likes. American Papa Bear says, quote, "Who wouldn't agree with this?" getting 15 likes. Parson says truth and says amateur looters. Picture of people. Interestingly enough, I think they're just running or looting at Costco. And it's called amateur looters. Then it says professional looters as politicians. Getting 39 likes. Let's see here. Also have Monkey60 saying, "Is he responsible for the fake stores on True Social?" getting 64 likes. A couple contrarian statements right off the bat. One by the name of Donald Trump Jr. Satire interesting profile name. Says Donald Trump's America, and his picture of Trump with American flag, saying America first. And his picture of Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and Zelensky says America last, and they're holding, of course, the Ukrainian flag, getting 9 likes. Thomas says, quote, suppression of specific information in one favor of the other is election interference, getting 10 likes. Jeff says, too bad the maximum levels of government authority are comprised entirely of corrupt and blackmailed pedos. The criminals will not prosecute themselves, getting 7 likes. Yeah. Let's see here. Is there any? Well, let's top comments here. Well, not too many. Bree says, any law enforcement, anyone want to prosecute criminals, getting 2 likes. Anku says, Grok is better search engine than Google, but F yeah, get Mr. President, getting 2 likes. Which, Grok or Grok, I forget how to pronounce it, but the AI that, X Twitter has, it's pretty good, but it's not as accurate as Google. Google has such an overwhelming volume of data. It really is comparing apples to oranges. I remember I used the Grok and I asked them, how many satellites does, X or the SpaceX have right now? And it gave me a number, I believe it was like about 4,800 or something like that. And it did tell me, as of this date. Then I had a friend standing next to me. He was using the Google AI, and he actually gave the up-to-date correct answer. It was around 6,000 satellites, and it noted the, the updated reference point. So, and again, that was anecdotal. We just did that a couple of times. It's a very small sample size, but in that sample size, Google's AI was so much more advanced. Now, scrolling down more and more, you have Justice saying, quote, lawfare against group because they didn't support him, getting 8 likes. Here. And it's also interesting to see the top political donor in terms of, people who work at the company. It is Google employees donating to Kamala, followed by Microsoft and pretty much every big tech company. Again, those are donations from people who work at those companies, not those companies themselves, which, again, some of them do political donations as well. Going down more and more. Loomer Fan Club says, not if we win, getting 1 like. So not as viral as I thought. And again, Trump threatens a lot of lawsuits, left and right, all over. Every once in a while, Google gets a slap on the wrist, but they have well over 50% market share for search engine, and yet, not too much. Not really much pushback from the government in our lifetime. Granted, subject to change. Who knows what tomorrow will bring? But yeah, of all the lawsuits that Trump has filed, could this be one that's the most successful? Do you think actually does it bear any fruit? Let me know in the comments, because actually something else that really bugs me in terms of when I compare the search engines when it comes to using the Google, using Brave, which my preference is Brave. Well, so it really is interesting. If you just Google search Trump stock, nothing shows up in terms of stock ticker. Those talk to you, like the headlines will be articles about Truth Social, but you just take that same search and that same query, same wording, throw it to Brave, just say Trump stock, it'll give you DGT or the Truth Social stock ticker right there with the price and all the historicals. And I don't know, that particularly just annoys me when I want to find out that price and I'm doing articles and stories about Truth Social updates. And yeah, it's the one stock where if you just Google anything to do with stock, it doesn't show you the ticker automatically with Google Finance. That's just a pet peeve to me. I'm not sure that's because they don't like Trump, they don't want you to see the data, or if they just, I can't think that's probably the case, because in terms of being accurate, well, Google hides a lot of accurate stories, but in terms of when they choose to be accurate, they have the data, they are pretty darn accurate when they want to be. But let me know in the comments, and do you prefer, do you use a Google search engine? Do you have a favorite preference? I know DuckDuckGo was a big alternative. My friends and I reused a lot back in the day, but unfortunately they decided to censor all news out of Russia. And again, I like to have all of my data. I don't want to have someone else choose what data I get, so I subsequently stopped using them after that. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.